And we're live. Welcome to the OUYACast, episode 24, recorded on Saturday, August 2nd, 2014. Your weekly source for the latest news, games, and hacks for OUYAns everywhere. I'm Brandon from OUYACentral.tv.
And I'm Steve from OUYABrew.com. Thank you guys for joining us for episode number 24. I didn't get my sound effect ready. I was going to do the claps, but no, forget it now.
24.
Hey, man, one more. That's like what I'm looking forward to. Number 25.
Oh, yeah. And this is just another awesome OUYAcast. We have a guest developer of Duck Game and Super Puzzle Platformer Deluxe, Landon Podbilski. Hello, Landon.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We're glad to have you in.
Hey, man.
Let's get this started with some Ouya news. We have Raven Sword Shadowlands 50% off until August 6th, and that's for $5.
That's pretty cool. That's one of the original launch titles of Ouya, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
If not, it was out within the first month of Ouya. I know it was a really early title, so it's kind of cool to see it on sale there.
Right. Yeah, it's been out, for a while on other platforms, so it's good to see that, it came to Ouya, and they saw interest in Ouya like everyone else. There's, right before the podcast, I was talking to Landon and telling him how excited we were to have him, and he was like, "Yeah, not that many people are excited for Ouya, but it's something to be excited for, I think." But Ouya everywhere, come on.
We're going to talk about that a little more, but I think that the interest in Ouya compared to where it was a year ago is a lot more than people would probably give it credit for. But
right,
we'll definitely talk about that a little bit more with our guest developers. So speaking of Ouya everywhere, I know you saw, right, the Ouya, how we did the Ouya kind of everywhere.
Right.
So apparently that the hack that you can use to get the Ouya store on your Amazon Fire TV and all that, you can pretty much use that for any Android device. I know we discussed that a little bit, and get the Ouya store with all your purchases and stuff on your phone and all that. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I've done it on my Nexus 7, so it's possible on some tablets, and Ouya Everywhere is coming officially to the WikiPad.
Yeah, the WikiPad.
I believe it's a 7 or 8 inch tablet, and it has a controller that you can just slide the tablet into.
It's kind of a weird looking controller. It reminds me of a big old I don't know, almost like the Wii U tablet. It's huge,
Yeah. But I've looked into it. It has a Tegra 4 processor, so it's running the latest of NVIDIA, like the Mojo, MacAt's Mojo, and what else is out there? The Nanotech. I looked into that the other day. That one with the 4K streaming by Nanotech. Remember that one? That Ouya is partnering with also. They haven't really announced anything with that, but it's kind of cool to see that Ouya is trying to is making the effort to be on everything pretty much.
Well, they'll get there, I mean, I'm sure that when it's all said and done, they'll be on, half a dozen to a dozen devices by the end of their second year, and if not more, and it'll just keep growing, and hopefully, of course, they'll have the Ouya 2 out, so that'll be nice, and it'll get there. I'm sure it's just a work in progress, but they seem to be on the right path. I know we were both kind of a little skeptical when we very first heard the news, okay, but it seems to be working out well. The more people that they get the games in front of, that's better for all the developers out there, of course, so that they can release their title on platforms in which it might not otherwise be available for. So that's kind of neat.
Right.
And one of the big ones that came out for the Ouya to begin with was, of course, Towerfall, right?
Towerfall, yeah, and we announced on Twitter in an email coming soon. Towerfall Ascensions is going to be the next phase to the evolution of Ouya hit Towerfall by Matt Makes Games. It's coming in August, no official release date, but stay tuned to Ouya Central, Ouya Brew, play Ouya on Twitter for a firm release date, and it says it's gonna have new weapons, maps, characters, and a single player mode. So that's gonna be awesome. Yeah, we've been waiting for it because everybody on PS4 and PC are able to play it right now, but not us, unfortunately.
Well, you know, we've got really cool games to hold us over until then, like, you know, Duck Game and things like that. So.
Right. And also a new game that just came out this week, the Super Puzzle Platformer Deluxe, which, you know, we'll talk about that more with Landon in just a second. We also got official other Ouya exclusives games coming in this month of August. We have Magnetic My Nature by Team Triple Slash, and also Reagan Gorbachev by Team 2-Bit coming this August. No official release dates yet, but we're waiting on them. And you see, earlier this week, I stick tuned to Ouya.tv and try to see all the newest games that come out. And so I was on their website, and it looks like they're trying to juke the stats. They're juking the stats.
Are they cheating?
Yeah, they're juking them. I'm like, hold on. They have, according to the website, they have 927 Ouya games and counting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you go to their game page, and this, like, okay, they must have just released another game because earlier it was at 879, and now it's at 880. So let me share this with y'all. So let's see what I'm talking about. Here we go. Now look at that. We got 880 games, and then there at the bottom is 927. So somebody's juking the stats.
That's it. Let's get Jared on the phone. Let's find out what's happening here.
Yep, get Bob. We got something. They got some explaining to do.
I think you might have just uncovered one of the greatest conspiracy theories in the world.
They're trying to hurry up and get to 1,000 games.
I'm sure that it's something like, you know, the apps aren't included or something like that, because it might just be games. I don't know.
I don't know.
Hey, I'm trying to get plausible deniability here, man. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, they'll come up with some story. We'll see if we'll believe them.
Maybe that's how many games are officially released, and they have, you know, that many more games in the pocket ready to like be released. Maybe it's like one of those things.
All right. Well, enough of me belaboring and whatever I'm doing. I'm just drawing
words.
Yeah.
Words and things.
Words with friends. But yeah, let's get Landon in here and let him talk about developing for Ouya.
Wait, we can only get him in here, though. We can only announce it if you say his full first and last name.
Okay. So we have developer of Duck Game in the new release of a Super Puzzle Platformer Deluxe, Landon Podbilski.
Hey,
I got it.
Yeah. All right. What's up, Landon?
Hey, not too much. It's good to be on the podcast.
Great to have you.
Thank you for joining us, man.
So if there's any OUYAns out there that are living under a rock, can you explain to them what Duck Game is and, you know, your inspiration behind it, and it's an Ouya exclusive?
Yeah. Duck Game is a local multiplayer deathmatch game based on one-shot kills, frantic gameplay, and having so many different weapons that it takes a while to figure out exactly what's going on, but you have fun doing it, is kind of like the motive behind it. So yeah, it's sort of like Super Smash Brothers camera, where all the ducks are on screen at once. The round starts, they all run around, find a weapon, kill each other, goes to the next round, and then, you know, somebody wins. Pretty standard deathmatch stuff. It was actually inspired by James Bond 3, which, like, don't read too much into that because it's not much like James Bond 3. But it was originally going to be a platformer with ducks and platforming puzzles and things like that. But a friend of mine from work suggested that I had guns, and I tried it out and we played with it, and it was fun. So I did that instead. It was a lot better.
That's cool.
That's awesome. So I know that a lot of people do compare Duck Game to Towerfall. What do you say to those to the people who make that comparison?
I would say that the games are incredibly different. Like there's been 4-player multiplayer games around forever. Like Towerfall is a really big one, a really good one. So a lot of people pay attention to Towerfall, and they like to people will always draw comparisons with the things they know best, their favorite things, right? I feel like Duck Game is quite a bit different, just in that like your level of aiming is a lot less precise. It's a lot more based on understanding the weapons and how the game works and the physics of the game than it is based on the aiming and the power-ups and things like that. I would say, actually, I hadn't played Towerfall before Duck Game coming out. Like, the main reason was because I knew I was coming out with a 4-player multiplayer game as well, and I wanted to keep it sort of like completely uninfluenced, right?
Right. Right.
But I knew that Matt had been working on Towerfall for a long time because I've been a long time fan of Matt's games, and he's a Vancouver local, and I've jammed with him before. So, like, but I would say my game is actually more like another game that I hadn't played before, which I played recently called Outfoxies on arcade, which somebody brought to my attention on TigSource when I put the game up there, and it's very similar because it's a game too where you just walk around and there's different guns everywhere, and the coolest thing about it though is that the level transforms while you're playing. Like there'll be one level where you'll start at the top and a helicopter will fall down, knock the floor out, and then you fall through and you're like fighting in a ballroom and then in the basement and things like that.
That's funny. I just pulled up Outfoxies on Google, and the very first thing after the Wikipedia article, of course, is criminally overlooked games #4, the Outfoxies.
Yeah, I think the reason actually it got not too much attention is because it kind of controls like garbage. Like once you get the hang of it, it's pretty fun to play, but at first it's really hard to get the controls right because they're just sluggish.
That's pretty cool. So, do you hear like a lot of stories about people having like big get-togethers and playing Duck Game and like just having like a lot of fun with it, like it's meant to be played, or is it more just like two brothers, 2-player kind of thing, always playing each other?
Oh, I see both. I see a lot of both. A lot of people. Like I get a lot of people on Twitter sending me images and stuff of them playing like up on a projector with everybody in an office or everybody at like a party and things like that, which is super cool and like totally the way the game was intended to be played. But I notice a lot of influence from people playing with 2 people or 3 people as well, just through like YouTube streams, people telling me like even just levels, like a guy on the Ouya forum started a level post which everyone shares levels they've been working on, which is really cool, and we've been playing a lot of those, and a number of those are clearly 2-player focused. Like they'll only have 2 spawns or say 2 weapons for 2 people to use. So I see everything. Like it seems like people are able to have fun pretty much as long as they have more than just one person.
Right.
Like themselves, right? It's definitely not a 1-player game unless you're really into editing maps and playing with game physics.
Huh.
Is it? Aren't you? I heard rumor that you were working on like a single-player mode. Is that true?
Yeah, okay. I am. That is in development right now. I've been working on a bunch of challenges for it, trying to figure out a fun way to lay them out so that they're actually interesting to get through and play. I'm trying to think of all the like different things I can do. I'm very inspired by time splitters, and that I kind of want to make every challenge like a mini game, like implement specific features and things just for challenges to make them interesting. And that feature is most likely going to come out in the end of September, early October.
Okay, that's cool.
That's gonna be pretty awesome. You know, one of the and I know it's a little bit off topic here, but one of the best single player against AI games that I think I've ever played has been Perfect Dark. That game had some of the best like single against AI mechanics. They had so many like awesome achievements, and like the bots went from like like borderline like drooling on themselves to like incredibly hard to face and things like that. So I don't know. Of course, every game's gonna be different, but I was just thinking out loud that as far as AI mechanics and stuff like that goes, that game was just so much fun. So maybe if you want to throw back to that kind of cool thing. I mean, I'm just saying, putting my 2 cents out there.
Well, it's funny you bring up Perfect Dark because they're actually the developers of Perfect Dark are the same developers who made Time Splitters, the Time Splitters series. Time Splitters 2 is one of which it's a game that inspires me a lot. It's a game also like a multiplayer deathmatch. It was first person, but had a ton of different weapons, unlockables, characters. It had a challenge mode that was really fun. And I would say the same thing about the bot battles in it, because I don't usually like bot battles, but I used to play Time Splitters 2 all the time, just set up a random battle with a bunch of bots, throw their difficulty around, see if I could still beat them, put it on rocket launcher mode, stuff like that.
Cool. Heck yeah, that's awesome.
And
so now, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, on the duck game AI sort of thought. I've thought of that. I have a basic AI in the game where the duck can run around and kind of like screw everything up because I've tweaked the platforming physics a lot, so the ducks don't really know how to get around as good anymore. But the problem is that, and it's another problem that if I do online multiplayer is going to make it more difficult, is that the game has 50 plus weapons in it. So each one of those weapons needs specific logic for these things. Like an AI needs to know that a net gun, you have to shoot a duck and then grab their net and throw them off. They need to know that a magnet gun's for stealing people's weapons or grabbing them when they have armor on. Like there's specifics for all of these, and I feel like the scope of multiplayer, like the only way that I could do good bots is if they only used basic projectile weapons like pistols and machine guns and things like that.
Okay. What development programs do you use, and what language do you develop in?
I use Monogame through C#, which is my favorite language ever because it lets you pretty much do anything you could ever want. And if you're on a deadline and you really need to hack something in and it's a cool feature, like in C++, you pretty much have to be like, oh, it's out of this game's scope. I can't do it. The game won't have it. In C#, you can just go under reflection and be like, there, it's in with like 5 lines of code. It's not efficient, but it works.
That's cool.
I hear you there, man. I love C#. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like I can't imagine making a game in anything else anymore. Just the amount of power it gives you. Like I would never recommend it for like next gen dev, right? Like you're not going to make some super photorealistic optimized shooter in it because there's better languages suited for that. But it's something like this where I'm doing like either a simple 3D game or old school retro 2D. Like it has more performance than you could ever need. It's insanely it's fast enough. Don't get me wrong. Like Magica and stuff like that is written in the same language in XNA, but it's the simpler your game is, the more power you have to play with the inefficient things that make game development way easier with it.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. So now, if you, I mean, like you said that you've got people that are, sending you pictures saying that they're having a great time playing. Have you ever gotten anybody that's just like, this is not my kind of game, and I'm not, interested in it at all? And has there ever been any kind of negative feedback at all, or has it all been? Because as far as we've heard, it's all been positive. But then again, we're not as close to it as obviously you are. So, has anybody said anything other than it's just a terrific game?
It's pretty amazing. I'm used to having all kinds of feedback when a game comes out. Duck Game has been mostly positive. I think what helps a lot is just the Ouya community is great. Like everybody on the Ouya is very much geared towards local multiplayer, things like that, and they've just been really supportive all around. I've had a few people, like mostly like at conventions and stuff. Like at GDC, I would play with a few people, and they just didn't seem too into it. Like they wouldn't say anything outright, but they wouldn't play for long, or they'd screw up a bunch and kind of like laugh and go, right? And I could tell that it's not everybody's thing. But
it's too bad, because that's so much fun, man. I love that game. And I will say this, and this isn't a negative thing, but I do know, and I will be the first to admit it, that I was thinking the exact same thing. But I do know that when Duck Game was released, a lot of people wanted to play it. But when it very first was released, there was no demo for it, and a lot of people were just kind of like, what the heck, man? And like, nobody was like sure if they were just going to buy it outright, or if they were going to just wait to see if a demo came out, which obviously it did. So what was it just you were trying to make sure that you got the game to the Ouya first, and then, after the fact you were going to make a demo as planned, or was it you got it to the Ouya and you found out that a lot of people wanted the demo, and that's when you decided to add one?
I was gonna have a demo originally, like the very beginning idea, because like I didn't even know that not having a demo was gonna be an option until GDC. Before then, and like Duck Game's an easy game to have a demo, right? All you gotta do is cut out a bunch of the weapons, cut out a bunch of levels, just give people like the core gameplay, a bunch of pistols and shotguns in some of the best levels, and if it's fun, they can buy the rest of it, right?
Right.
And yeah, so I wanted to do it from the beginning just because it was a really like straightforward process. The thing that stopped me from actually getting the demo out on release was that I was working to get features fixed and new features in constantly right up until release day, and the demo would have taken a new screen to buy the game from within the game. I wanted John Mallard to say some funny things related to the demo to sort of remind people that this isn't the full thing, right? And stuff like that. Like, that took a couple days to get figured out, and I didn't have time to do that before release. Definitely what got me moving quicker with the demo after release was, yeah, everybody's having fun, but then a few people are really disappointed because they're used to games on the Ouya being testable in the first place, right?
Right.
Like, I'll bring up now, too, like, I think you'll notice that Super Puzzle Platformer Deluxe doesn't have a demo on the Ouya store. And the only reason for that is that it's a port of a game that was a friend of mine's mostly. Like, I did a bunch of work on it. I did the music for it. But it's not really my game. So I didn't, I don't have the resources to make a demo for it, to set it up, to figure out, like, what I would give players in a demo, right? So it's kind of like a lot of indie games started to come to the Ouya after they removed the demo limitation, right? And I think it's because a lot of indie developers would rather not cut their game apart in such a way that there's two different versions, right? And like with Duck Game, I didn't have that problem, but I can understand how people would feel that way.
Right.
Absolutely. And I'm going to let Brandon ask the next question after my final one, which is, what was the first 24 hours like after you released your first game? Is it just like heart pounding, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Are they going to love it? Are they going to hate it? Am I going to make any money? Is it going to fall flat? I mean, what's the feeling that you go through in that first 24 hours after you release?
It's like, it's a nightmare and it's amazing at the same time. I mean, like, anybody who's ever worked a really long time on something, poured their heart into it, and then put it out in front of a bunch of people, right? You feel like you're, say, like a rock star going on stage for the first time. You don't even know if people are going to like you or not. And yeah, it's really stressful. But also just the amount of, like, my Twitter lit up for a week after the game came out with tons of people just tweeting screenshots, telling me how much they liked the game or what they were playing or what their favorite things were. And you know, it's really overwhelming to be sort of like a indie, like, basement hovel dev, right, where I just sit in my room and code at my computer all day and then don't really talk to anybody till the game comes out, and then suddenly, you know, everybody's like, oh, hey, your game, it's awesome, how you doing, do you want to, like, do an interview and stuff? And like, you know, I do, but I'm not like, I'm not adjusted to these things. I've been developing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, it's really exciting. I think overall it's a great experience, but it'll definitely like teach you some things and get you a little bit more comfortable with dealing with a lot of attention.
Okay.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, we're basically rock stars. We walk down the street and people are like, "Oh my God, it's the Ouya Brew and the Ouya Central guy. Oh my God!" So we're used to it. I mean,
Yeah.
room keys every day. It's incredible, but I wish.
Yeah, we got an entourage with us.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that the game like it did pretty well, but I'm glad my first release wasn't too like I've watched Indie Game the movie a lot, right? And like those Meat Boy guys coming out with their game and suddenly having millions of people owning it the day afterwards, right? Like, holy shit.
That's basically what the dream is, right? Like you just come away with this smash hit that it's just a breakaway success, and nobody thought it was ever going to be what it is, and it's a rarity, but it's not unheard of.
It'd be scary though. Like I think something like that would change a person because I don't think that anybody could know that level of like I think that kind of fame would definitely change you, not for the worse, but like it's scary in that sense. If that was ever to happen, I would be afraid for a while, I think, and I would get over it. But this is the good and the bad of coming out with games, right? Sometimes the people who put themselves out in front of attention are the people who want it the least until they learn to get over it.
Right.
Go ahead,
like that's a weird thing with artistic mediums, right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it really depends on the person and how they can handle it. But like you said, you'd probably get over it after a while.
Yeah, you could adapt.
Yeah. Brandon.
Hey, hello. How we doing?
I'm trying not to steal the show here, man. I'm trying to share. I'm trying to share the love.
I'm sorry. Oh, there we go. Finally, I've been trying to pair my other controller to the Ouya.
Oh, we can see.
Yeah, it's weird. Usually I'll have no problem with that, and then like one day one of the controllers just decides that it doesn't want to be with my Ouya anymore, and I have to convince it that my Ouya is all right, and then it doesn't have to leave like that.
It's a good guy.
Yeah, my little technique. What I do is I try and the middle lights blink and it doesn't connect forever, and so then I just take the battery out and try it again. Doesn't work again?
Totally.
Take the battery out, try it again.
Like reset something inside it.
Yeah, hopefully Ouya 2 will have a better Bluetooth support or something. But I was trying to play a duck game, but I see I don't have no one else here with me to play, so I'm gonna.
Oh, that's gonna be tough.
Act like I have another person, so I can go around and just kill the other player.
Do you have one of those the newer areas, the like the black plastic versions?
I have both.
I found the black plastic one like worlds better in almost every way than the original, in just like controller connectivity and like I used to have input pileups constantly with Duck Game. It was one of my biggest problems, and with the black area, it just went away entirely.
Yeah, I noticed like right now I'm on the original. I'm a Kickstarter backer, so I have the original one. But I also bought the black one, and when I first tried that out, yeah, the inputs were a lot smoother, and there was hardly any lag. And so that's when I noticed in one of the Ouya open office hours hangouts, they were announcing, they said that you can actually send your older controllers in and update the firmware, and they'll send it back to you. So that's what I did with my the controllers from the original Ouya.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So let me see. There's a way that you can go into your manage controllers, then under the settings. No, not settings. Under the regular system settings. Advanced, I think, yeah. And then if you go to Bluetooth, and then I got this Ouya controller, you can hit the settings under it, and then you can right here get the firmware version.
Oh,
and at the time that's the, I guess, the most up-to-date version. I'm not too sure if there's any updated ones since then. I did that about We're in August, at least probably like 6 months ago. So yeah, I guess that's the newest version. So when I got my new controller, I looked and I had this version. So then I checked my older controllers had like 0x0102, I think it was. So I sent both of them in, and they got the same day they updated, they mailed them back to me. So I got them back. I got them back fairly quickly. So that was awesome.
I should give that a shot.
Yeah, check your controller versions, and that might actually help with the inputs too, I guess, because it has the same version as a newer controller. Yeah. So yeah, let me try playing some duck game.
Yeah, sorry. If it was online, we wouldn't have this problem because I could play it with you right now.
Yeah. So you said that you're working on that?
I am doing I'm doing a lot of online work right now just to figure out the feasibility.
Right.
I can't say anything right now, but
Right.
I'd say that online in the future is very, very likely.
Awesome.
Mostly because I think it's going to be a nightmare to do and very hard, and I'm going to learn a lot from it. So I'm pretty excited to do it anyway.
Right. That's great.
Well, if you need beta testers, I mean.
Yeah, two right here. So let's try this.
We're going to try this. He likes to try things live, I know.
Yeah, I like doing that.
Yeah, so for anybody thinking of buying the game and playing it single player at this point, probably wait till the single player, because this is what it'll look like.
Yeah.
This is how much fun you'll have.
Yeah, well, at least you're guaranteed to win.
Yeah.
Unless you're really bad.
Like me.
Speaking of.
See, I tell you the truth, I got the game, but not knowing that it wasn't single player, and so I've been stuck. I haven't really played the game as often as I should have, but I do plan on taking this to my brother's house and playing with my brother. So that's what I'm gotta do this in coming weeks and try it out with them. I think I have more fun.
Yeah, it's my biggest job for doing the single player.
I don't know if you guys see this, but Ben Ramskill just tweeted all of us. He said that the main cause for the controller lag was the metal casing on the original Ouya and controller.
Oh.
Which is interesting because I've now owned two of the original Ouya systems, and maybe it's just because I have my Ouya and my controller probably within 2 feet of each other, but I've never really had an issue with any kind of lag on the controller at all. So it's probably just because they're so close, though.
I think it's like with metal on the controllers in the Ouya, who knows? Like it could be some weird magnetic field and stuff. Like your house is fine, but somebody else's house might have like electrical interference that's like amplified by the controller or something. Like I don't know about this stuff, but it seems like it was really hit and miss because I had it awful, but if I went into a different room, it wasn't such a problem. So it's like really weird.
So tell us about the other game as well. Let's talk a little bit about that because I know we've only got. I want to find out how much time we got here. We're at about we're at about 33 minutes out of about. Yeah, like we told you before the beginning, we usually try to keep it around 45 to an hour. So let's talk about. Oh, nice! just fried that down.
Yeah, I fried myself too.
I'm gonna tell you something else too. If you're going to see, if you haven't already, but if you go see Guardians of the Galaxy, just now that we're talking about Duck Game, if you go see Guardians of the Galaxy, wait until the very end of the credits. That's all I'm going to say. Watch that. And if you don't get the reference, then you obviously were not born in the 80s, but you'll get it.
So tell us a little bit about Super Puzzle Platformer Deluxe.
Okay. So Super Puzzle, originally, way back when I was in school and Andrew was in school, he's the guy who made the game, he was working on a final project in Flash Develop, making like a Flash game called Super Puzzle Platformer. And he finished it and sold it to Flash Game License, and it did really well. A lot of people played it. A lot of people liked it. He had a link to my music portfolio site in it, and that's all the traffic I've ever gotten. Like, I've been getting traffic since the game came out. Like, it did so well. So he decided, you know, like, everybody seems to like this game. I think I'm going to make a deluxe version, do a bunch more levels, bunch more weapons, sort of like tighten up the controls, right? So he did that. He started working on it. And then at one point in development, Adult Swim came up to him. They said they really liked this game. They wanted to publish it, get it out on Steam, things like that. So he went ahead with that. And that's where this came from. And like, as you can see, it's pretty much just a block puzzle game, except that you're in the block puzzle game, so you have direct interaction with the blocks via your gun, and it's fun because what happens is as you get better, as your level goes up, more blocks fall. They fall faster. There's different obstacles on every single level, like these spikes here that are falling down. They start to fall, and
you could die.
Yeah, just like that. And there's things like those cannons, too, like that cannon just fell. And it pretty much sets up platforming obstacle courses for you while you're playing, and you have to struggle between making sure you don't fall in the spikes at the bottom and sort of managing the obstacles that are falling to try to kill you.
Right. Okay. Yeah, this is my first time playing this game, so I'm a noob.
Yeah, it's definitely... I guess I don't consider it. It's hard for me to consider it a hard game just because it's sort of like, you know, like what point do you call it succeeding in a game that just lets you go till you die, right? Like I would maybe feel like if I got 1,000 points, I did all right. It didn't feel too hard, but like it's generally considered by everybody to be a hard game because there's a lot of ways to screw up. It's easy to die, and like I mean. Even I've played it a ton, and I'll still constantly have rounds where I just screw up in some dumb way within the first 100 points over and over again. Because it really teaches you to be better at platforming games, for sure.
Well, it's kind of a neat concept, though. I mean, it's definitely a different take on the genre. You know, I mean, everybody, I'm sure at one point or another on their phone or tablet or whatever has played the billionth adaptation of the game, you know, where you switch, you know, the Bejeweled style game where you switch around blocks and things like that. So this is kind of like a really neat little take on it, if nothing else.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Tetris in a sense.
Yeah, I really like what like I kind of get that sort of vibe too out of it. Where like when I was a kid, I always used to look at everything and pretend it was a game, or like look at the walls and pretend there was a little dude running around and stuff. And I feel like this kind of gives that vibe, like. You can play Tetris, and then now you don't have to imagine a dude running around in there. You can just do it.
Right.
That's pretty cool. It's like, you know, what would be cooler is if after like however many 4, 5, or 6 blocks actually did build up with the same color, they automatically disappeared, because then you'd really have to worry about falling down on those spikes.
Right.
Like you should have like the ability to like throw like a solid block somewhere so that they don't kill you. That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, some variations like that would be nifty. Like just sort of like a build your own like safety.
That's still pretty cool. I mean, I like the way that all these different blocks and stuff, you know, the spike ones, the little cannon one, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty simple in concept, but when you start to play and get into it, it's like fairly complex. It takes a lot of getting used to. So I'd say it's that easy to pick up, hard to master thing, but like for me, it's pretty much impossible to master. Whereas I had a friend at work actually who picked it up, played it for the first time, and got like 80,000 points and still wasn't dying, and he was just untouchable. I don't know how he did it.
That's pretty amazing. So let me ask you this: I know that you said you're working on some updates to Duck Game. What do you have planned as far as like even conceptually for your any future titles, or are you just taking a break, or do you have anything that's in the works?
I always want to make new things. That's one of the hardest things about working on Duck Game constantly is that, you know, I'll think of a new game that I want to start working on, but I can't do it because I need to get Duck Game done. I need to keep working on this one, right? And like you'll see a lot of influence in Duck Game out of that. Pretty much every time I add a new weapon, it's because I'm getting bored and I want to like implement something else Like I just added the other day a ball and chain, like a physics ball and chain that you can accidentally lock to yourself, and then you have to drag it around with you. And you can pick it up and move faster if you're carrying it, or you can like jump it and swing it around like a mace and crush other ducks with it. And it also works as a good cover. Like you can hold it and it'll block pretty much anything coming from the front. So it's like it's a blessing and a curse. But
Awesome.
Mostly I think right now I'm focused on Duck Game, but after Duck Game I want to come up with a bunch of small pixel games that play with mechanics from games that I'm fond of and builds on them. Like I want to do scrolling shooter. I want to do just a basic skill-based platformer like Earthworm Jim style. I think the next big thing I want to do, and I'm not sure yet, is I want to make Populous 3. But I want to make it good because Populous 3 is amazing, but also it's very unbalanced and it's very boring when you figure everything out because it's just way too easy. And if you ever played it online, it pretty much just comes down to everyone does the exact same like monotonous, boring strategy to win. And I feel like it could be a lot better made.
You know what's funny is I think you're now I'm pretty sure the guys from that we had last from Elysian Shadows, they said that they really liked Populous too. Apparently, that's just like a really big inspirational game to everybody.
Whoa. Yeah. That's cool. That's
like
I've had a lot of people.
Sure they said that.
Yeah, and anytime I've ever tweeted anything about Populous, usually I get people tweeting back saying how much they loved it. It's Populous 3. Like I could never get into the original Populous games. Populous 3 was mine, which was generally considered, I think, far enough away from the Populous formula that people didn't like it very much. But I don't know, the music and the atmosphere in that game were absolutely incredible, and even the graphics still hold up, and it's from like 2000 or something. It's just a gorgeous atmospheric game. The terrain modifying is amazing. Just something about building little tribes of people from the ground up is really relaxing.
That is pretty cool. I mean, there's you think that there's probably like a clone or a something that's styled after just about every game now, but there are just so many untouched type of games that can still be made for the Ouya that like you said, Populous type game, or it's all about how you can take the technology of the Ouya and adapt it to your game, because there's terrific games out there that I would love to see some adaptation of, even like an RTS type game, that's got to be really hard to do with the Ouya because of the fact that you don't have a keyboard and mouse, you have a controller, so you got to really work and try to figure out a way to make that happen. But there's just those kind of like untapped, ideas out there that are just waiting for developers like yourself to take and run with it.
Yeah, I would likely do some sort of like a swarm type mechanic where you would pick individuals, put them in groups, and then they would have like groups of followers who decided to follow them around, and like you wouldn't micromanage and say, dude number 192, attack this hut, right? You'd send in 100 dudes at once and be like, oh, you guys attack this hut. And like if you want more control, you'd put them into little groups of like 25 or something like that.
What was that Nintendo game with like it's like Pikmin or something like that?
Oh yeah, Pikmin.
Yeah, kind of like that, where like they all follow each other around.
Yeah, I'd do something like that, but like less annoying noises when you make things.
Exactly.
That's my main quarrel with that game. It's an amazing game, though.
That's pretty cool. So if you had the option to develop with anybody, like a co-developed game, is there any developer out there specifically that you would really enjoy the opportunity to work with?
I've wanted to work with my roommates a lot of times. Like Andrew, the guy who made this game, Super Puzzle, he's one of my roommates, and me and him throw back and forth game ideas all the time. Like we were working on an RTS at one point, inspired by Red Alert, because I don't think any RTS really has the attitude of Red Alert. They're all StarCraft RTSs, which are pretty much chess, which I'm not into. But yeah, I'd probably work with him because him and I have very similar views on game design. We usually like the same kind of games, and with pretty much anything, like I'll never make the populist game, and we'll never make a game if we can't figure out some way to make it that would be interesting and different, right? Mm-hmm. So, like if we talk all the time, so it's pretty likely we could come up with something and want to move forward with it. And like, you know, one day when that happens, then that's probably who I'll be working on a game with.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. I'm having fun over here.
I see that.
So Landon, where can people get in touch with you, follow you on Twitter and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, on Twitter I'm pretty much everywhere. I'm Super Joe Bob, like at Super Joe Bob on Twitter, superjoebob@hotmail.com. Pretty much like any place where you're curious if I'm there, look up Super Joe Bob, and if that account's there and has like Craig from Ripping Friends or some big smiley guy or something, that's probably me.
You gotta be careful using the exact same username, because then, you know, like every once in a while you find out that you got your same username on you're posting on things that you don't want other people to know about.
Yeah, exactly.
I've had that issue before. Like, oh crap, man, I should have told people that. That's awesome.
I've had times too where it's just like every now and then I'll go sign up somewhere and my username will be taken, and I'll be like, holy crap, like either that's a real coincidence or they were inspired by my username, because like in all the history of me using that username, I've never run into conflicts except for like once.
Well, I for one, just about 10 minutes ago, followed you on Twitter at SuperJoeBob. So do you have a? I'm sure, I don't know if you do, so I apologize in advance. But do you have a web page where you host all of your games, and like, you know, so people can click on the different ones and see what you have, other than the Ouya developer page?
I do, yeah. If you go to superjoebob.com, actually.
Okay.
But it's not. It's fairly up to date. I made it because I needed a website before Duck Game came out. I need to put more things on it. Like some of the games on there are so old, like from high school, even the ones at the bottom.
Okay, there's one on here called Hot Dog Simulator.
Yeah, that one's ancient. That's like I found a physics engine and was like, this would be fun.
Oh Lord, alrighty. So closing words, man. Tell us what you're working on one more time, and let's take it home, because I know I think we pretty much lost Brandon. I think he's just gonna be playing this game all night now. So.
Okay.
So, yeah, one more time, man. Take us through it.
Yeah, so right now I'm working on single player for Duck Game. It's going to have it's going to have a challenge mode, tons of challenges, a cool way to go through them. It's also going to have new features that I've been working on and tweeting about, like ragdoll physics, gun physics when you throw them around, a ton of gameplay tweaks, changes, new weapons, levels, things like that. All that's coming out in the end of September, the beginning of October, and I'm also working on multiplayer, which I'm going to be working on until next year, most likely. And there's going to be an announcement coming up in the middle of August, which will be cool.
All right.
But you know, we'll see what that is when it comes up.
That's all he could say about that. But thanks for joining us, Landon. It's a great pleasure to have you on the show. Just thank you. Thank you for contributing to the Ouya.
Yeah, really and truly, man. It's great what you've done, and we're so glad to have you on the show here. It just started like pouring rain here. Like, I don't know if you hear it, but it's like coming down hard. But
Wow.
Anyway. No, we really appreciate you being on the show, man. And of course, if you want to check out anything that he's doing, like he said, superjoebob.com. You can get him on Twitter at superjoebob. And of course, we'll be covering just about anything that he comes out with, because it doesn't seem like you're missing the mark pretty much with anything you do. So we're always looking forward to what you got coming up next, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, and keep on doing what you're doing, man. We're huge fans. We're big supporters of just about anybody who develops for the Ouya, but especially when you're coming out with great titles like this, we really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks,
and
Landon.
keep tuned for our next OUYAcast episode number 25. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier before the podcast. There is a potential that we might change the time and date to Sunday, just to see, if we can get some more people to interact with us, because while we do get a lot of listeners after the fact when we post these up on our websites, we really want to have more of an interactive experience. And I know that a Saturday night is really tough for everybody, so we're gonna possibly play with that format. So keep it tuned here to the OUYAcast with your hosts OUYAcentral.tv and OUYAbrew.com, and of course, thank you once more to our special guest Landon. And no, I'm not going to try to say the last name because I will murder it, and I'm sorry.
That's cool. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, that's it for this week. You can contact us on Twitter at OUYAcentral.tv and at OUYAbrew. You can listen to us every week, either Saturday or Sunday. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.